Obviously somebody didn't like him or somebody. I'm not positive at this stage that they were after Danny or just the building or maybe just a fluke.
Envy the position of many people because I'm in between both worlds, the square world and the street world, and I think I have trust from both sides. But I have no axe to grind, but if somebody wants to come after me, they're over here by the Celtic Club. I'm not hard to find.
Daniel Green's journey began on November 9th, 1929, in a small town shadowed by tragedy. His mother's passing shortly after his birth left him in the care of Palmerdale Children's Home, only finding stability when he moved in with his paternal grandmother after a turbulent childhood. Growing up, Danny dabbled in delinquency, dropping out of high school and earning a reputation as an alley fighter. But as he entered adulthood, he seemed to find some balance of stability. In 1956, he married a local waitress and began working as a stevedore on the banks of Lake Erie. Danny quickly rose through the ranks, becoming the president of the local 1317 International Longshoresmen Association. However, the shadows of his past lingered. In 1964, he was indicted on charges of embezzlement and falsifying records. Accused of stealing union funds, Green stood trial in 1966 alongside the union's vice president, Leon J. Potnikvar.
After nearly 4 years of devoting all my energies to get the dock workers in Cleveland a fair shake, and I found that my only compensation is headlines in a newspaper and bullets through my window. Before March 1961, I was a longshoreman working in the holds of ships. And when I was asked to take over this union and make something of it. Under my administration, the union has moved from a cubbyhole to fine quarters near the Fort waterfront, where members could be proud to gather. The pay envelopes of the Cleveland dock workers have increased 40%, and $200,000 in welfare funds have been accumulated to care for the future and security of the men.
It took the jurors just 5.5 hours to deliberate, finding Green guilty of depositioning grain boat checks into his personal account. But justice took a turn when, in August 1968, the ruling was overturned due to prejudicial cross-examination.
You got any thoughts about where these people are from? I think possibly, most probably the bomb was made here. The people could have been imported.
To kill the Irishman now became the Cleveland Mafia's #1 priority. After failing 8 times themselves, they decided to bring in an outsider.
Despite his legal battles, Green wasn't one to back down. In the aftermath of his incident, he formed the Cleveland Trade Solid Waste Guild in 1969, aiming to unify the city's small rubbish business. However, allegations of coercion and connections to organized crime would soon surround him.
Winos and drifters have disappeared from the waterfront. Criminals and pilferers have been dismissed. Decent men supporting families have taken their place.
Dan, there's some story going around in Cleveland that it might have been you that fostered the shots through the front window of your home. How do you feel about that statement?
Well, there's also stories going around that it might have been a dissident group. Either one of them, I believe, could either one of them would do anything so obvious. I think it's the work of a crank of some sort.
In June 1971, police identified a link between organized crime and violent incidents among private rubbish haulers. The plot thickened as Danny Green found himself in yet another legal hotspot.
It was shortly after we decided not to use the bomb box, which I called it, that we decided to tap his telephone. I got a key to an apartment in the building. While in the building, we went down into the manager's office and found his lines and tapped the phone and hooked it up to the dead phone that was in the apartment where we were living. There was phone calls that we overheard. One, especially that I remember, is that he used to be in contact with the FBI, and he gave an alias when he called the FBI, and he was an informant for the FBI. When this was told, or when the tape was heard by Licavoli and others, it confirmed what they had thought in the beginning, and it became more of a thing. We have to get him soon.
By the early 1970s, Green's involvement in organized crime extended beyond waste management, with reports linking him to 35 homicides involving explosives. Attempts on his life became a common occurrence. Green's life was a roller coaster of crime, activism, and survival. But things took a darker turn as several attempts were made on his life. In one harrowing incident, a building where Green was living was bombed. Miraculously, he and his girlfriend emerged from the rubble unscathed, a testament to what Green attributed as, quote-unquote, the luck of the Irish.
Finding Green wasn't the problem. Killing him was. Green lived in a block of apartments where Ferrito first tried to kill him with a bomb in a box. FBI agent John Summer worked on the case.
Now, Danny Green, although he lived a fast life, wanted to live in this apartment because it catered mostly to the elderly. And when he wasn't in the public eye, he could hide away up here without any media. Up here on the right near the front of the door, is where the bomb box was planted. At the time, which was in 1977, there was a lot of shrubbery there. It was a directional bomb box with a force going out towards the door. And they gave up on their attempts to do it, mainly because there were so many elderly people that were always seemed to linger by the doorway, or at least stand out waiting for buses and so on and so forth. The bomb was to be detonated across the street near the White House, and a streak of nobility, I guess, on the part of the mob, they decided not to go ahead with the plan because so many innocent people would be killed.
It's obviously somebody didn't like him, or somebody. I'm not positive at this stage that that they were after Danny, or just the building, or maybe just a fluke. But obviously he's been in the headlines of the news, and there's been times when other people have attempted it, shots in his life, a fatal situation, the dynamiting a couple years ago. But I have no idea, and I'm sure Mr. Green doesn't this time. He's a little shook up.
Another close call occurred in 1971 when an adversary tried to end Green's life while he was out for a run with his dogs. In a dramatic turn of events, Green pulled out his own weapon and successfully defended himself, resulting in the death of his would-be assassin. Remarkably, he was tried and acquitted of manslaughter in this case.
You know, it's widely speculated that you are also a target in this so-called, quote, gangland war for control. What's your answer to that?
The world of streets, I happen to have an unenviable position, a very
The battle for turf in Cleveland was relentless, and Green, not one to back down, is believed to have eliminated some of his competition. Even his friend, who was named Burns, met a gruesome end outside of a Cleveland church in March 1975 as a bomb exploded in his car.
The contract to kill Green was given to Ray Ferrito. Ray Ferrito was a hitman from California. Ferrito had already carried out a murder for the Los Angeles crime family.
While I was in California, a problem arose with a man who was giving many people problems and bringing a lot of heat by the law enforcement agencies to other people. And
was he a criminal?
Yes, he was a criminal. He was a non-bank robber and burglar. And I took care of that problem by taking him out to the airport and shooting him in the head.
Ferrito was a killer with an ambition. He wanted to join the Cleveland family. The bosses agreed to make him a member and cut him in on their gambling profits. He soon realized why they needed him to kill Green.
Well, they were very disturbed. It seemed like every attempt that was made either was fouled up or it didn't work. The man was a Green who was cautious, by no means ignorant. He took precaution measures whenever he went somewhere, place there was someone with him. He always carried a gun, and he seemed like a man that was invincible, a man with 9 lives.
It's a tangled web of crime and intrigue that will ultimately lead to Danny Green's demise. On October 6, 1977, he met his end in a car blast outside of his dentist's office.
In October 1977, Ferrito heard Green telephoning his dentist. When Green turned up for his dental appointment, Ferrito was waiting for him.
We decided that there would have to be more than one plan, because Mr. Green was the type of guy who thought himself as a general. So we got a bank of crew. There was another crew there, 2 fellows with a high-powered scoped rifle who were parked in the parking lot of the building where the dentist was located, and they were supposed to take a shot at him if there was an opening. But they chickened out and they left. And so we used the last method that we had. That was the bomb car. We had a car that was set aside, and in the car there was a box built to the side of the door of the car where we would put dynamite, which we would park next to his car, and we would trigger it off at a distance. It happened that when he did come for his dental appointment, we were there and waited till he came out of the building. When he went to get into his car, I ignited the dynamite with a remote-controlled device.
Danny Green had lost his war with the Cleveland Mafia. The Irishman was dead.
At that point, were you elated? Did you get any thrill out of having finally done the job?
Yes. I wasn't elated because I killed someone. I was elated because the job was done and I was going to become one of them and share in the profits. Something that since I was a kid, I dreamed of. You know, I wanted. And this was my chance to do it.
Didn't you have any kind of compunction, any remorse? You'd got to know this man very well, hadn't you?
Yes.
Well, how does it feel to kill somebody that you know every living breath of, because you're tapping his phone, you're living in the same building with him? What's it like to have a man as a target?
Well, to me, it was like having a glass of wine. didn't mean a thing to me. I killed him, and there was no remorse that I killed a man, because that was part of my life. I was brought up all through my life believing that those, you just have to put them out of your mind. Those were things or hurdles that you had to overcome. A man with a conscience doesn't last too long in the streets.
He would treat the people in the neighborhood nice. He really did. The girls, the people that were hard up, and every Thanksgiving he bought 50 20-pound turkeys, gave them away. Every Christmas, 50 20-pound turkeys, gave them away. Call up and say, so, I don't want to mention names, but he'd say, so-and-so's coming in. Give her what she wants.
The story of Danny Green is one of resilience, controversy, and a fine line between crime and activism. I want to thank you for joining us today as we, took a deep dive into the life of Danny Green, Irish mob, Irish mafia from Cleveland. And you already know what the drill is. Drillers and trappers, 247. Shit, we trapping and drilling. Make sure y'all hit that like, that subscribe. And oh yeah, don't be an unsubscribed goofy. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get it. Gang!